actually arranged for that because it made me feel at home. You know, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't have at least one heckler.
Well, President Obama, I think you're about to have millions of them because you're failing miserably. Yeah. I think that, you have to go and see the video as well, but you can see that, and you can hear from what I described earlier and going through that clip, you can hear him and hear his arrogance come through on that. You notice he never answers any of the questions that people ask of him, and the gentleman in the crowd was asking him about, are you here to secure the peace, or are you here to give Israel more weapons to kill Palestinians? And not that I concur with where this gentleman was coming from, but, he doesn't even bother answering the questions, and he does the same thing to his political opponents here, or he basically lies his way out of it like he did in the election and during the debates. So he basically embarrassed himself in Israel in several different ways, and primarily before this speech to these students by being so selective as to who he would allow to listen to the speech. Because he knew that if he had people that knew what he was really about, that he would have more of those hecklers. That maybe the ratio wouldn't be, 1 to 100 or 1,000 or however many people were there, but that it would be the reverse. So he very much controlled what was allowed there. Now again, cover the cross, stand under the terrorist, have a controlled audience. Scary stuff. Imagine that this is our president of the United States, and this is the guy we're stuck with.
Government handouts, the progressives' Viagra. The only thing free here is the truth. You're listening to the Conservative Radio Network.
In this time of political power grabs, endless bureaucracy, the creation of czars, the trampling of your constitutional rights, turn to the Ronald Boyd Show for clear, intelligent, and concise conservative opinion. Only on Spreaker.com.
Hey, BK, what's the think tank all about?
Oh, we're going to be talking about news and current events and politics, and, our main goal is to also make it funny.
Funny?
Yeah, funny, yeah. As a matter of fact, if you haven't pissed your pants by the end of the show, we haven't done our job. The Think Tank, Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on Spreaker.com.
No elitist drivel, no media spin. Logic over emotion, fact over fiction. The home of independent conservative thought. The Conservative Voice with your host, Jeff Wagner, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
And we're back. This is Jeff Wagner, Conservative Voice, the Conservative Radio Network. It's a little bit of George Lynch to bring us back in. We were talking before the little break there about Obama's visit to Israel and some of the issues that people are talking about surrounding that visit. I think that you'll see some shows and they'll pick one issue or the other. But want to air not incredibly long, but a long enough segment, so hopefully you took advantage of that break. But specifically about Iran and the threat that it poses. And again, Iran's threat is not just a threat to Israel. You have the Arab Spring. You have now Jordan warning that we need to take some of this stuff a little bit more seriously. You have Egypt. You have Syria. You have Hezbollah. You have Iraq getting a little more dicey again. You have us on the verge of leaving Afghanistan and the Taliban moving back in. So things are quite a mess over there. But as far as Israel is concerned, picture yourself in the worst neighborhood you can possibly imagine. And you have your small little house, and everybody around you in the neighborhood just wants to get in and kill you and burn your house down. That's how it must feel to be the nation of Israel at this time. And then, your family, who has all along promised to help you and protect you, is basically absent. And that, of course, would be us. So I wanted to spend some time in this. This excerpt has several experts that talk. We have former ambassadors in here. You'll recognize some of the voices, but to go through the list would be rather long. If you're curious, you can email me at the crn@hotmail.com. That is THECRN at hotmail.com. And I can point you in the right direction for this clip here.
Believe those who say they want to kill you, because they usually follow through.
اعلام میکنم این رژیم منحوس پرچم شیطان است، پرچم شیطان بزرگ است و صرفاً مجری دستورات آمریکا و انگلیس جنایتکار. مرگ بر اسرائیل.
When a hate monger says, I will destroy you, history has demonstrated that they mean what they say. Pharaoh meant it, Haman meant it, Hitler meant it, Ahmadinejad.
A zealot of the worst order, armed with the nuclear bomb, and an army of disciples no longer a world away.
Well, there's no question that Iran today, without nuclear weapons, is the #1 exporter of terrorism in the world. When the United States defeated the Taliban initially, back in 2001 after 9/11, the Taliban had hosted the presence of Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda split into two directions. Part of Al-Qaeda went to Pakistan. That is probably where Osama bin Laden went. But a good portion of Al-Qaeda went into Iran, and from Iran ordered terrorist operations against other countries. So that beside the well-known Iranian connections with Hamas, with Hezbollah, with Islamic Jihad, the Iranians also are connected to Al-Qaeda. And that whole capability, which has already been striking at the world over the last 20 years, will be magnified once it is under a nuclear umbrella.
The fact is, Iran has mastered the entire nuclear fuel cycle. They have all the scientific and technological knowledge they need to fashion a nuclear weapon. It's really only a question of time. And I think we're past the point, unfortunately, where economic sanctions are going to slow them down.
Not since Nazi Germany has there been a leader, a government, whose motives are so impervious to reason. Motivated by the absolute conviction that they are right and everyone else is wrong. A belief in a divine purpose that supersedes humanity itself. Mass destruction in the name of God.
Almighty Lord, I pray to you to hasten the emergence of your last repository, the promised one, that perfect and pure human being.
This is Ahmadinejad speaking at the United Nations, just for information.
Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, is a 12er Shia, which is to say that he is awaiting the arrival of the 12th Imam. The Shia believe that this is an individual that has been alive in a state which they call occultation, or ghaiba, and he will reemerge out of this sort of spiritual cryogenic state, and he'll come onto the world scene.
This is what's driving their nuclear development program, and they believe they are appointed, Ahmadinejad and the people of Iran, and especially the mullahs, to usher in and bring back the Messiah through an apocalyptic disaster throughout the world.
It's like the second coming. It's like the second coming of the Prophet Muhammad, but this is one of his disciples. And that will be the end times when the world will be redeemed.
Redeemed through a worldwide apocalypse. Collective salvation or cleansing by force, a concept associated with the likes of Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. It's a belief also embraced by a secretive Islamic movement known as the Hajjatiyya Society. Both the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad are believed to be members along with key leadership of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard.
And in 1983, the Ayatollah Khomeini decided to ban this society as being too crazy. They were nuts in his view.
What is different in modern Iran today is the rise of Mahdist or messianic groups, like the Hojatiyya organization, which believes that man can accelerate the arrival of this messianic era, the arrival of the Mahdi. It's not some preordained date in the future, because many religions have an end of times concept. It's something that man can move forward himself. But the way to move that forward is to...
There are 74 million people living in Iran today, and by all accounts, most of them are a lot like you and me. They cherish their families, their friends. They respect the rights of others, but they live under the oppression of a powerful and frightening few.
The 12ers are in complete control right now. Not every, even political leader in the cabinet, or at least in the government, in the parliament, believes what Ahmadinejad believes. But the guy who believes it most is the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei.
Khamenei rose to power in 1989, following the death of Ayatollah Khomeini. Ahmadinejad was his hand-picked choice to become Iran's sixth president in 2005.
What's intriguing to me about Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is that he's not someone who really defined himself in the 1979 Islamic Revolution. In the 1980s, during the Iran-Iraq War, wasn't a general, wasn't a major intelligence official, not a major political figure of any kind.
But during the Iran-Iraq War, he served with the Revolutionary Guard and became acquainted with many of its top officers. In 2003, he is appointed the mayor of Tehran by the city council. Ahmadinejad, who holds a doctorate in traffic management, makes better traffic conditions and clean streets his top priority. And oh yeah, he also promises to help facilitate the return of the 12th Imam.
You know, he actually used to dress up in a orange jumpsuit, and he called him to go out and sweep trash, and he called himself the Little Street Sweeper.
In April 2005, the Little Street Sweeper, still very much a political unknown, announced an unlikely run for the presidency of Iran. Almost no one showed up at his news conference. Public polls gave him only 3% support among voters. 2 months later, he was elected president. Ahmadinejad's re-election in 2009 was no less miraculous. In spite of a strong field of well-known candidates, he captured 63% of the vote, more than double his nearest competitor. Despite an 85% voter turnout and 40 million paper ballots cast, the Iranian government announced the results of the election just 2 hours after the polls closed, and the Ayatollah Khamenei declared him the winner even earlier.
One of the most significant, probably the most significant moment was when he made his first address to the United Nations General Assembly in September of 2005, just a few months after he took office. And in this speech, he refers a few times to the Promised One, a veiled reference to the 12th